Pure, good to see you doing. Evening. Manny, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening. Comatose, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Scott, good to see you as well. How you doing? Pablo, good to see you as well. How you doing? How's your day? It was good. How was your day, Scott? Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, Miles of CMF. Stream forever. Good to see you as well. How you doing? How's your parents? Parents doing well. Thanks for asking, Scott. Hi, Miles. Tell us something good. A lot of things are happening around the world. What we're going to go through on tonight's live show with the usual Q&A as well in between. Evening, Miles of CMF. Joe, good to see you as well. How you doing? How's business? Business is good, Scott. There we go. Business has been good. Troy, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? So we'll do a gist of what we're going to go through on tonight's live show, and about that time, everyone's tuned in for the first part after the gist of the topics that we're going to go through on tonight's live show, and then the intro disclaimer, and by that time, everyone's tuned in. Do we still get an opportunity to invest with you? Yes, definitely, always. So on tonight's live show, we are going to be talking about MicroStrategy on tonight's live show, mainly about the MicroStrategy ETF that I talked about a few nights ago. And we have an update on the matter of how far the MicroStrategy ETF has gotten. We're also going to be talking about the Solana ETF launch. That is, so yesterday I talked about the Solana ETF launch, which was withdrawn from the US markets. So we're going to go through a perspective on that basis, but from Bloomberg, that there might be some sort of a way of a green light coming, possibly. Then we're going to be talking about Solana ETFs again, but Brazil, because Brazil has just essentially activated 2 Solana ETFs, while the United States is still dictating what category to put Solana in. By United States, I mean Gary Gensler. We're also going to be talking about the Fed rates, which are the meeting is going to be coming up this Friday. So it's a crucial date that's going to be coming up this Friday. We're going to go through some more possibilities of what could be happening regarding essentially Fed rate cuts. That will definitely impact the crypto market and the stock market. We're also going to be but from a Fed perspective, we're also going to be talking about State Street on tonight's live show as well. State Street has just partnered with tourists to offer tokenization services. So another Wall Street firm, massive leading global financial firm, has just entered the ranks in terms of tokenizations. We're also going to go through the news of Donald Trump on tonight's live show as well. Donald Trump and Elon Musk, where Elon Musk could be a cabinet member for Donald Trump, which makes things quite interesting in terms of politics. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live show regarding Moscow Exchange. Moscow Exchange recently got sanctioned by the United States, and Moscow Exchange does not want to stand down. They said they're actually ready to fight the US sanctions. We're also going to be talking about the topics of China on tonight's live show as well, that there might be a possibility of China greenlighting cryptocurrencies very soon, maybe, because of the new AML regulations that have just been passed inside of China's courts. Because before any country brings out any sort of crypto regulations, the basic crypto regulation they need to have is the AML regulations, which is basically anti-money laundering laws, and then they can move on to more advanced regulations. And we're also going to be going through the topic of Paolo, which essentially their digital dollar. So Paolo was Ripple's first playground for releasing some sort of CBDC payments. We have updates on that matter regarding Paolo, and that they're going to be introducing a new 1-to-1 ratio digital dollar on the XRP ledger as well for their own essentially country. We're also going to be talking about Cambodia on tonight's live show as well, and a few other countries regarding CBDCs. And we're going to be talking about the digital pound, the digital British pounds. We have an update. The digital British pounds has just essentially updated everyone on how far they have gotten on their own website. The Bank of England website has just released a video and an update of how far the British Pound Foundation has gotten so far and how close we could be to a digital pound. So, quite a mixture of topics to go through. And also we have the news on Ripple as well to go through towards the end again, on the matters of Ripple and gold and silver. And what I mean by that is, a while ago, essentially Ripple announced their partnership with Meld Gold, which I released the news on this live show as well. And Meld Gold essentially is in the business of gold and silver, and they announced that they're going to be essentially building something upon the XRP ledger in terms of securing gold and silver on the XRP ledger, and 1 gram of this would equal to this amount of XRP, and so on. So we have an update on how far this progress has become, how far the progress has been so far, and where it could be leading towards regarding XRP ledger, silver, and gold. So quite a mixture of news to go through on tonight's live show, but the first news we are going to be going through on tonight's live show is regarding MicroStrategy, regarding their ETF, which is a 1.5% X leverage that's going to go live tomorrow. Before we go through any of that news, welcome to the CMF live show. If you're watching this for the first time ever, the CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family. I've been in this live show every single night on X and YouTube live at the exact same time you're watching me right now. We also do live Q&As as well inside the comment section. So if you have any questions, put it down to the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help you out on any questions you may have. Or members in the community could also answer your question as well. Every single night you can tune into this live show and I talk about the most recent things that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrency news, CBDC news, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about that the world is essentially transforming into a digital era. And the disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. So welcome to the CMF live show if you are new, and if you're regular, let's go CMF. And the live show has officially started now. The first news we are going to be going through is regarding MicroStrategy. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see where we were at inside the comment section first, and then we go to the first news. Let's see, we were at here. Do we still, oh, we're here. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Denise, good to see you. How you doing? Greetings, Miles and CMF. Brian, good to see you. How you doing? Thanks for responding to my DM. No problem, Scott. Good evening, CMF. How's everyone doing? I'm doing great, John. How you doing, brother? Hello, Miles. Dale, good to see you. How you doing? Good old Miles. I'm CMF. And CMF, I am wide awake tonight. Let's go, JP. Good evening, brother. Don, good to see you. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Mike, good to see you. How you doing? How has your day been, Miles and CMF? My day's been great, Lena. How's your day been? Woodhouse, good to see you. How you doing, brother? Also, thanks again for the voice notes. Earlier, you have given me ideas. Maybe my time isn't over. Let's go, Woodhouse. Evening, brother, and the rest of the crew. Funky brother, good to see you. How you doing? Glenda, good to see you. How you doing? Hello, Miles and CMF. Let's go. Have I missed anything? Nope. Perfect timing. I heard something about XRP. Yep, towards the end. Right on time. Let's go, John. Pump. Let's go, Jim. Hi, Miles. Why taking long for XRP pump? Well, they need to first pay the 30-day, within the 30-day period, the fine, and then 60-day period is the SEC going to appeal. That day needs to pass. Those time limits need to pass before any sort of movements. Camel, good to see you, brother. How you doing? When will this bull run start on price action? Well, the faster we get into regulations, the faster you're going to be seeing that price action happening. So, and we're all going into regulations. We've had quite a lot of regulations this year, and we're getting more and more as the days go by. And I'm updating everyone on all the regulations that are coming in day by day by day. And also, I just want to point out, thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting and liking this live show right at the beginning as well on X. I'm getting notifications, and thanks so much to everyone on YouTube who's also liking this live show as well. So, and if you haven't followed, follow. Now, MicroStrategy is the first news we're going to go through on tonight's live show. Now, MicroStrategy recently indirectly released an ETF, which we talked about on this live show, but now we have an update on when is that going to get green lighted, which is tomorrow. MicroStrategy ETF with a 1.5% X leverage to go live tomorrow. MicroStrategy is incorporated one of the world's largest corporate Bitcoin holders is set to launch of a new exchange-traded fund, ETF, with a 1.5% X leverage. This move reflects the growing demand for crypto, and it reflects the growing demand for crypto-based products amongst institutional investors. It also shows the perception to the company's dedication towards embracing cryptocurrencies. Another volatile MicroStrategy ETF. Senior Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric highlighted the launch, stating that it would pass as one of the most volatile ETFs in history. This is similar to the initial MicroStrategy ETF, MSTX, offering a 1.75% X leverage over the MSTR stock price and launched essentially last week. At the same time, he noted that it would be a touch less than the top dog, MSTX, 1.75x long MSTR, which was which has essentially traded a record of $50 million today. The ETF expert also acknowledged the metrics growth that the liquidity is experiencing and added that it could reach $100 million in no time. That MicroStrategy has this type of ETF is clearly linked to its Bitcoin strategy. The business intelligence software firm embraced Bitcoin back in 2020 and has remained committed to assessing the flagship cryptocurrency for the last 4 years. As of June 30th, MicroStrategy's Bitcoin portfolio held a total of 226,500 Bitcoins. The holding is currently worth around $15 billion. Fortunately for MicroStrategy, this decision to adapt Bitcoin has triggered an upsurge in its ecosystem. MSTR, the firm's share, has outperformed its counterparts, including 499 out of the 500 shares of S&P 500. The MicroStrategy share has even seen more growth than Bitcoin, which gave its exposure to in the last 1 year. Crypto ETFs becomes Wall Street's investors' ally. So crypto is definitely becoming a Wall Street kind of market space. There are more Wall Street heads inside the crypto space than ever before. So beyond the MicroStrategy ETF, Wall Street investors are seeking more ways to gain exposure to digital currencies while ensuring that they attract minimal losses. In the last 6 months, crypto ETFs have served at the alternative, especially in the United States, Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC), giving its supports to ETFs. Spot Bitcoin ETFs launched in January with the likes of BlackRock, Grayscale, Franklin Templeton, Van Eck, Fidelity, Bitwise, and Silverring as issuers less than 5 months after the spot Ethereum ETFs followed suit, bringing more alternative to investors. In the US, top financial firms like Morgan Stanley own a slice of these crypto ETFs. Since their launch, these offerings have seen a mix of market sentiments, from recording inflows to experiencing massive outflows as well. Massive outflows mostly towards Ethereum ETFs. But regarding MicroStrategy, yes, MicroStrategy is about to be greenlighting one of the most volatile ETFs possibly, because MicroStrategy also has another ETF that they launched about a week ago, which I announced on this live show, which is about 1.75% X leverage, which is quite volatile for Wall Street heads. Now they're launching their 1.5% X leverage, which is also still volatile for essentially Wall Street heads. But it seems like Wall Street likes the volatility that comes with cryptocurrencies, because MicroStrategy's ETF at a 1.75% X has had $50 million in inflows just in a matter of weeks. So it seems like Wall Street doesn't mind the volatility that comes with the crypto space. As the news, keeps on rummaging on about, cryptocurrency too volatile, it seems like Wall Street doesn't mind, because they're going for MicroStrategy's ETF, which is about 1.75% X leverage, which is very volatile for Wall Street. Now, it's actually the #1 volatile ETF asset as of now. This will be the second volatile ETF asset in Wall Street. So, which also shows the adoption rate coming in from Wall Street. Solana ETFs is the next news we're going to talk about on tonight's live show. So Solana ETFs did try to launch inside the United States, but they did hit a roadblock, which we discussed this matter on yesterday's live show. A perspective from Van Eck's executive board members. They said the reason why they pulled their ETFs because they were unsure that the SEC was going to greenlight Solana, so they thought they'll just pull their ETF applications. And they said that Solana needs to get some sort of green light from the SEC before we pursue it to refile for that matter. Now, we have some other perspectives on the matter as well regarding Eric from Bloomberg. So Solana ETF's launch hits a roadblock as US SEC sparks Solana security debate. The Solana ETF launch has been one of the widely discussed topics inside the crypto town, especially after Bitcoin and Ethereum spot ETF trading started this year inside the United States. However, according to a recent social media post from Bloomberg analyst, the investment instrument of Solana faces major hurdles as the US SEC appears to have failed to acknowledge the filings. You know what's worse? The SEC rejecting your filings is bad, but when the SEC doesn't even acknowledge your filings, it makes it worse. Because the SEC had to get sued for Bitcoin ETFs, and then they were pressured for Ethereum ETFs when Congress was doing legislations. Is the exact same time Ethereum ETFs were greenlighted when Gary Gensler thought, okay, maybe I'm pushing the bars too much and I might lose my job. And then the ETFs got approved for Ethereum ETFs at the exact same time Congress was putting pressure on Gary Gensler. But during all of this time, Solana ETFs were placed in the filings as well. The SEC didn't even bother looking at the essentially Solana ETFs. So rejection is one thing, but not even bothering to look at the filings is another thing. Now, This development has triggered debates over whether the crypto should be classified as a security or not. Solana ETFs launch in jeopardy. The recent removal of Solana ETF filings by Van Eck and 21 Shares underscores the growing uncertainty surrounding the SEC stance on cryptocurrencies. Still, Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric, in a recent post on X, highlighted that the filings did not progress beyond the second step due to the SEC's lack of acknowledgement. They didn't even acknowledge there were essentially Solana ETF filings. They couldn't even care less. As a result, the exchange had to pull their 19B4 filings, I'm guessing because of embarrassment, effectively halting the approval process. Eric pointed out that the chances of an approval are slim unless there is a shift in the SEC leadership. It's worth noting that speculation saw that the US market, with recent reports suggesting that Kamala Harris will likely appoint SEC Chairman Gary Gensler to lead the Treasury Department under her presidency, which I also revealed on yesterday's live show. And that meanwhile, this situation has fueled an ongoing debate about Solana's classification as a security. As social media users argued that it is essentially inconsistent to classify the crypto as a security while Ethereum is not, which is quite odd. Because how can Ethereum be, essentially not a security and get an ETF approval when Solana's built upon it is not getting the approval? In response, Bloomberg analyst James noted that the SEC is indeed making this argument in both courts and public forums. This comment has further fueled concerns over the potential launch of Solana exchange-traded funds. Adding to the complexities, the recent disappearance of Solana ETF filings from SIBO's website has also raised eyebrows. Van Eck and 21 Shares initially filed for their Solana ETFs back in June, following the SEC's approval of 9 spot Ethereum ETFs. However, the removal of the 19B4 filings has cast doubt on the future of ETF approvals. Van Eck remains optimistic on the potential launch. Despite the regulatory challenges, Van Eck remains optimistic about the approval of Solana ETFs. Van Eck's head of digital asset research, Matthew Signal, recently expressed confidence in Solana's classification as a commodity similar to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Siegel cited that evolving legal perspectives to support his stance, emphasizing that certain assets can be viewed as both securities and commodities, depending on the context. Notably, this view reflects a broader legal debate on how crypto assets should be regulated. Meanwhile, he argued that while some assets might function as securities in primary markets, they may behave more like commodities in secondary markets. This nuanced perspective could play a crucial role in shaping the future of regulatory approaches to cryptocurrencies like Solana. Solana is also, most people don't know about this, but Solana, some people do. Solana is being sued, not directly, but indirectly. Solana is being damaged in terms of their category through the Coinbase case. Coinbase is being sued, obviously, for selling unregistered securities, and one of the crypto projects listed by the SEC for being a security is actually Solana. And the other one is File, the other one is Cardano, and there's a few other crypto projects that are listed in the Coinbase case to be known as securities, according to Gary Gensler and his team of morons. But that is why Solana is struggling for an ETF, and that is why Solana probably could struggle for a while for an ETF inside the United States. But outside the United States, Solana could get many green lights for an ETF because they're more strict in other jurisdictions compared to the US, mainly because of Gary Gensler wasting everybody's time. And what I mean by that is in other jurisdictions, for example, second Solana ETF approved in Brazil. The second Solana ETF has just been approved in Brazil, while the US, well, Gary Gensler didn't even acknowledge the filings for the Solana ETFs. He didn't even bother looking at them. The product will be launched by a Brazil-based asset manager, Hashdex, in partnership with local investment bank BTG Capital. The Brazilian Securities and Exchange Commission, CVM, has approved the second Solana exchange-traded fund, ETF, the agency disclosed in its central database. According to the CVM database, the new Solana ETF, which is pre-operational phase, will be offered by Brazil's based Hashdex, a Brazil-based asset manager with over $962 million in assets under management, in partnership with local investment bank BTG. And Hashdex has experienced a player in the ETF segment of B3 Brazilian Stock Exchange, have already launched products such as the Nasdaq Crypto Index, as well as the Bitcoin and Ethereum-based ETFs as well. And the CVM approved the country's first Solana ETF, this one being offered by Brazil's asset manager QR Asset back in August 8th. So while Gary Gensler is trying to still decide, is Solana a security, is Solana not a security? Actually, I'll take it back. Gary Gensler didn't even bother looking at the filings to even come out and say is Solana a security. So Gary Gensler right now is not even looking at the filings for the Solana ETF whatsoever. Once he does decide to look into them is when he starts thinking, is it a security, is it not? Which makes it even worse. That means the chances of a Solana ETF inside the United States is definitely a slim chance, is what was also a perspective from two Bloomberg ETF specialist analysts, one being James and one being Eric. And James and Eric are quite right sometimes on marketplace. And just to put in perspective, Eric was the only person that said that Ethereum ETFs will happen when everybody else inside, the crypto space, in terms of board members, executives, even Michael Saylor, who is essentially the CEO and founder, you could say, of MicroStrategy, MSTR, billion-dollar company, billion-dollar Bitcoin holder. He did a speech and said, Bitcoin will be the only ETF. Everyone was going against Eric and regarding Ethereum ETFs. And Eric said, this is when it's going to happen, this deadline, this time, this date, and it happened. So regarding Eric being correct on what he says, there's been times when Eric was very correct on what he says. And James also from Bloomberg. They're both ETF specialists, Bloomberg ETF specialist analysts, and they're both saying it's a very slim chance, mainly because the SEC didn't even bother looking at the filings, which made essentially 21 shares and Van Eck just pulled their filings because they weren't even looked into. That's just embarrassing. Does the SEC have more important things to do? No, not really, but Gary Gensler is trying to get a new job. So that could probably be why he's not interested in any other ETF matters, because he wants to work for Kamala Harris. Oh boy, this is a funny world we live in. Now, before we go through the next news, which is regarding the Fed considers rate cuts, the Feds are right now considering rate cuts. There's a perspective coming from the Feds themselves, and we have a Fed meeting coming up on Friday, which is definitely going to impact whatever the result is, the crypto markets and the stock markets. So before we go through what could be possibly coming out of this Friday meeting, let's go to the comment section first. Let's see where we were at. By the way, if you have any questions, put it down to the comment section. It is a live Q&A. So you ask questions, I give the answers. In other words, let's see where we were at. Proper blue moon tonight. Let's go, Frank, brother. What up, Miles and family? Hope all is well. Ray, good to see you, brother. How you doing? Evening, Miles of CMF peeps. Sempre, good to see you. Well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles of CMF. Tor, good to see you. Well. How you doing? Why did they need COVID to implement digital world? Why do they need COVID to implement digital world? I'll tell you now. So to make it short and simple, I've said for a very long time that COVID-19 was the instigator for essentially CBDC world. The start line of a CBDC world was not now that all these banks are coming in, the Bank of International Settlements is making speech. The start line of a CBDC world was actually the beginning of COVID, because at the exact same time COVID happened, and the exact same time COVID happened was the exact same time the Bank of the World was doing testings on blockchain technology. The World Bank was doing testings on blockchain technology at the exact same time COVID happened. Now, they had successful results, and then COVID was happening at the exact same time that was happening. And that was the World Bank doing blockchain testing. Now, why did COVID have to be the one to start the CBDC route? And that blockchain is just there for you to, everything is a setup, and it's quite a long process to explain step by step how everything was a setup. Blockchain was a setup. Blockchain is not coincidental. It was never developed for the people and so on. Everything was a complete setup to make people go into this blockchain world, so then eventually we can go into the CBDC world. Everything is just a step-by-step road plan that was designed out by the Bank of International Settlements, the World Economic Forum, and the International Monetary Fund to make people go towards blockchain, even though government said, don't go to blockchain, crypto is bad, crypto is scams, crypto is this, which actually made people do the opposite, completely the opposite, and go towards it. There are many documentations to prove that matter, and regarding the start line as well. But regarding why did COVID had to be the scenario? Well, the main, and also the German bank yesterday, Deutsche Bank, made a tweet and revealed actually that COVID-19 was the instigator or the catalyst, in their own words, for a CBDC world. Why was COVID-19 the catalyst for a CBDC world? Well, because they said cash carries germs. You know, the reduce on cash actually happened because they said cash carries germs. At the exact same time COVID was happening was when the World Bank was doing testings on blockchain technology, which was successful, and we were going through COVID-19. At the exact same time, through COVID-19, bank branches were closing down and cash points were closing down as well. We still have some open, but not like we did before. So it was all for a CBDC world. The start of COVID was for a CBDC world. And the catalyst of why COVID-19 had to be the backbone of the start line of a CBDC world was because cash carries germs. You see, cash essentially dependency reduced drastically during COVID times, where people ended up using essentially MasterCard, Visa card, bank cards, in other words, or even some people decided not to use cash points either because it carried germs, and people decided to move over to Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay, and so on, mobile banking instead of cash usage. So COVID-19 was the catalyst for it carries germs if you use cash, or if you use a cash point, it carries germs. So COVID-19 was the catalyst for CBDC world, which is also the exact same thing that was said by the Deutsche Bank on their own Twitter account or X account. So everything in this world is a complete setup. This whole blockchain world that we're going into right now, this blockchain phase, was set up a very long time ago. And it was set up to go eventually, the end being CBDCs. It was to get people into blockchain and so on. Get people used to sending money through blockchain, understanding blockchain technology, building upon blockchain, and then eventually moving on to CBDCs. By eventually means basically next year. But why did they need to do COVID-19 to implement digital worlds? Because cash carries germs. They needed something to make you move away from cash. They needed something to make you move away from cash. If they said to people, well, cash is bad for the environment, nobody cares about the environment. Let's just be fairly honest. And because they tax us on anything. If the governments could do taxes on oxygen, but everyone would go against it if they try taxes on oxygen. But they needed something to make you stay away from cash, paper money, and germs was the easiest solution to make you stay away from essentially cash money. And it worked. The data is there to prove it. At the exact same time we were going through COVID, people decided to stop using cash that often because it carried germs during COVID-19. The people that believed COVID-19 decided not to use cash because it carried germs. Banks were closing down the exact same time, and so was many cash points. Still, a lot of bank branches are closing down around us, and still a lot of cash points are closing down around us because it carried germs. Germs was essentially the catalyst of people stop using cash. They needed something to make you move away from cash, and germs was the solution. So everybody believed in COVID-19. People were starting to believe the news and the scientists because, obviously people will stop believing scientists when the other scientists are being just silenced. Obviously, these scientists are going to be correct when you silence the other ones. So people started believing in the news, started believing in too much about COVID-19, actually believe that, cash is carrying germs, which in extent, cash does carry germs up to a certain extent, but not COVID-19 levels. So, carrying germs is common sense. Cash does carry germs, but COVID-19 levels and the high, essentially, sensation that we're giving out wasn't at an extreme level. But cash does carry germs up to a certain extent. It is common sense, but it wasn't up to that level as they were describing regarding COVID-19. But it helped. It helped with their progress to move everyone away from cash. So they needed something. And they couldn't say it was because, it's bad for the environment, because nobody would care on that matter. But germs, people care. You mentioned germs, people care. You mentioned, bad for the environment, nobody cares less. Nobody couldn't care less. So the catalyst was COVID-19, which was also said by Deutsche Bank. Thanks for the answer, Miles. No problem, Messi. Anytime. That's even better for Ripple is ETF. If Solana doesn't get it, not that Ripple needs that to happen. True. Morning, Miles and CMF. Shelly, good to see you. How you doing? Yeah. On the basis, Shelly, good to see you. How you doing? No. On the basis of what JP said, that's better for Ripple ETF if Solana doesn't get an ETF first. Yeah, the chance of Solana getting an ETF is extremely slim, but the chances of essentially, XRP getting an ETF is actually quite high, mainly because it's regulated and the SEC is not going to go after it. And I said, even if the SEC does appeal, it's going to get rejected. And the only part of the case the SEC wants to appeal, they can't really appeal it any sort of way. So there's no point of them appealing any part of the case in general. So, but the chances of the next ETF is much, much more higher for an XRP ETF than any other ETF out there, because the SEC didn't even acknowledge the filings for the Solana ETF. They didn't even acknowledge it. Do you know how bad that is when the SEC couldn't be bothered to look at the filings that 21 Shares and Van Eyck made for a Solana ETF, where they had to pull their filings out of embarrassment because they didn't even bother looking at them. Because just to put in perspective as well, for the Bitcoin ETFs, they had to get sued, but they also did a public, commenting. For Ethereum ETFs, they did a public commenting, what does the public think about essentially Solana, an Ethereum ETF? What do businesses think about a Ethereum ETF and so on? They did all of these things for Bitcoin and Ethereum, but for Solana ETFs, the filings, they didn't even look at them. So out of embarrassment, they pulled the filings for Van Eyck and so on. They just pulled their filings and said, nope, maybe it's not the right time. So, which is also on the basis of the only ETF that can happen next is regulated cryptos. The only ETFs that are possibly going to be happening next is any project that is regulated, which is only XRP at this point. If we're going to go by law, it's the only project. If we're going to go by La La Land, anything can get an ETF. Harris election efforts raises around $500 million in a month by retainers. Yeah, Kamala Harris, really good to see how you doing. Kamala Harris is definitely raising quite a lot of money, but she does have quite a lot of, biased companies behind her, because a lot of companies and corporations don't like Trump because he goes against their agendas. Greetings, Scott, an amazing CMF family. Let's go, Leroy. How you doing? If SEC doesn't appeal and they say no to XRP ETF, then Ripple must show them. And how long can that take? It could be another suing type of situation. It could take a few months for it to happen, but not a few years like last time. Tron, but I don't think he's going to be doing that because Gary Gensler is about to get a new job as the Treasury Deputy, so Treasury Secretary Deputy. So I don't think Gary Gensler is going to be wasting his time in court battles anymore. Tron is up 12% and went above Cardano, but Binance Pay has accepted Cardano is good. That is good, and Tron is climbing the ranks. That is very true. Tron is climbing the ranks, and USDT recently printed more money on Tron once again for a rainy day. USDT does print quite a lot of money for quite a lot of rainy days. I don't know how many rainy days USDT is expecting. But yes, Tron is doing quite well for itself, and Cardano by Binance Pay. That is quite good news, actually, Lord. Let's go. So, next news on tonight's live show is regarding the Fed reports, which are going to be coming up this Friday, but we have a perspective from a few Fed members on what could be possibly said and discussed. Fed considers rate cuts. Bitcoin's price volatility continues to cause concerns, particularly for altcoins. Market expectations suggest that the Federal Reserve might lower interest rates in September. Historically, the Fed's decision have aligned with market predictions, but fluctuations could still occur in the weeks leading up to the decision. Fed members speak out. Recent comments from the Federal Reserve members are essential for grasping the current economic climate. These remarks could serve as a primary indicator ahead of Jerome Powell's anticipated address at the Jackson Hole Symposium. For instance, Bowman recently delivered a speech that hinted at a more cautious stance than usual. Key points from Bowman's statement include hiring strength might be overstated and the unemployment rate rise could misrepresent cooling signs. We need to balance labor market risk while focusing on price stability. Wage growth still surpasses levels consistent with our inflation goals. There remain upward risk for inflation. Progress is reducing inflation is noted, but rates remain above the 2% target. Any policy stance changes should be approached cautiously. Despite a rise in the unemployment rate remains historically low, and if inflation trends towards essentially the target, a gradual rate reduction is advisable to avoid excessive restrictions. Patience is crucial to avoid undermining ongoing inflation reduction efforts, and we should consider the full spectrum of data as risk to employment and price stability balance out. Those are the key notes that was mentioned by essentially Bowman's speech, which these are the topics that are going to be discussed regarding the matter of the data that's going to be coming up this Friday. That could definitely impact the crypto markets and the stock market. Now, cryptocurrency market impact. Bowman's statement for for the cryptocurrency market impact. Bowman's statement hit a potential 25 basis point rate cut in September, with a possible pause for one meeting. Despite favorable recent data, essentially the high first quarter inflation figures have shaken the Fed's confidence. This has led to a cautious statement from several members. The main messages are expected to come from Fed Chairman Jerome Powell on Friday. However, Bowman's speech suggests that Jerome Powell may not indicate a more significant 50 basis point cut. Inferences for investors. Expect potential interest rate cuts in the near term. Fed's cautious stance could temper market reactions. Monitor Jerome Powell's upcoming speech for critical policy signals. Caution inflation concerns may affect cryptocurrency stability. Labor market data will be a crucial role in the future Fed decision. In summary, the Federal Reserve is navigating a complex economic landscape with the inflation and employment data playing a vital or pivotal roles in their upcoming elections, in their upcoming decisions. Investors should stay alert for Jerome Powell's comments at the Jackson Hole to gauge the Fed's future direction. If we do have interest rate cuts, then the market is going to react. If we do get an announcement of interest rate cuts, then the market is going to, obviously, Fed rate cuts is going to definitely react. Should react in some sort of positive manner. But let's see. This Friday, I'm going to be definitely keeping people updated on what the report is going to be. Either the market is going to be in green or the market is going to be in red this Friday. Crypto and stock. Now, the next news to talk about on tonight's live show is regarding State Street. So another leading global financial service provider has just entered essentially the fields of tokenization, which is massive news. But before we go through that, let's consider the comment section first. But State Street has just entered tokenization. Massive news. Let's see where we were at inside the comment section. Again, if you have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'm reading everybody's comments one by one, giving quick, short answers. Let's see where we were at. We were at here. Do you like Tron? Do I like Tron, the crypto project? Look, Tron has potential on one basis. A lot of interesting activity happens on Tron. A lot of money gets processed on Tron that would raise eyebrows for certain jurisdictions. Easiest way to put it. A lot of money gets processed through Tron. The CEO of essentially Justin Sun is a very dodgy character. Justin Sun is a very dodgy character. Tron has a lot of money inside of it spinning sometimes that nobody can tell where it really came from. And Justin Sun has been on the list for the US to look into multiple times because of his dodgy behavior. But look, in general, as long as they don't get looked into by the US, Tron will continue growing in value because a lot of money gets processed. A lot of Chinese money gets processed through Tron. The Dems have big fundings, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, what are your thoughts on Kamala as a person? Democrats do have quite a lot of fundings because of the biased situation towards Democrat Party and, the biased situation towards Republican Party, in other words. So a lot of companies are obviously behind Kamala Harris. It's like one big group is behind Kamala Harris and pretty much nobody wants to stand behind Donald Trump. What do I think of Kamala Harris as a person? In the most simplest and possible way I could say it is, she has zero understanding of politics. She has zero understanding of blockchain technology, which is where the future is headed right now. But she makes and now let me say this before you think, how can you be saying this? She makes a perfect candidate for a presidency only because she's got no brain cells. And what I mean by that is, if I was going to say a good thing about her, but what I mean by that is that she's good at reading from a piece of paper. Because presidents come and go every 4 years. They're not really in charge of anything. However, Trump is the only president that takes his role as a president serious. He's the only president that's been taking his role as a president serious, where he does certain actions that presidents should do. On the other hand, the previous essentially party candidates that were chosen just read from a piece of paper and got told what to do, because they come and go every 4 years. A president comes and goes pretty much every 4 years, but the companies, the institutions, the government, agencies and bodies remain there for eternity. And they pretty much roll the show. They control the whole show. So they just need somebody to put in front of cameras every 4 years, read from a piece of paper, and then the next person the next 4 years. On the other hand, Trump doesn't read from a piece of paper. Not that he can't read. He can read, but he just doesn't want to. And Trump is the only president that takes his job serious, which you should do as a president of the United States. And they don't like that. On the other hand, Kamala is good at reading from a piece of paper and saying, okay, so today I have to do this, or tomorrow I have to do this. Trump says, nope, I don't want to do this. This is what we should be doing. That's who Trump is, which is what a president should be. What a leader should. A leader should not read from a piece of paper that somebody else gives them to them. A leader should lead. It's in the word, leader, lead. On the other hand, for Kamala's sake, or the Democrats' sake, or Joe Biden's sake, or anyone before them, it was basically read from a piece of paper. But it got to a certain stage where Joe Biden was incapable of reading 2 sentences, or even a sentence, which meant they had to get rid of him and bring somebody else in who can actually read, which becomes Kamala Harris. So in terms of what do I think of Kamala as a person, she has zero understanding of politics. She has zero understanding of blockchain technology. And this is factual information up to some extent. Have you seen her explain to people how data storage works? So, and have you seen the video of Kamala Harris trying to explain inflation? They go to her, how are you going to bring down inflation? And she goes, well, things are expensive and people can't afford their groceries. And she just babbles on, and not a single sentence or a word comes out on how is exactly she's going to help. There's no reasoning. There's no, action. I'm going to do this to stop inflation. It was just mentioning things that are pretty much common sense. Yes, people can't afford their groceries. Yes, people can't afford their mortgages, their loans. Gas payments are high. Electricity are high. So what are you going to do about it? Apparently nothing, because she just repeated what's actually happening. So she has zero understanding of she has zero understanding of politics. She has zero understanding of economics, zero understanding of blockchain technology. But she's good at reading from a piece of paper, which is all they need. All they need basically is somebody that could read from a piece of paper that people, could blame and say it's their fault. And reality is the people behind them, the organization, the government bodies, the institutions. They're the ones that are pretty much running the show. So when it comes to presidencies, Trump actually wants to lead. He's the only president that wants to lead, not read from a piece of paper. But on the other hand, Kamala Harris, she's a good reader, but not a leader. She's a good reader, but not a leader. So that's what I think about Kamala Harris. She has the exact same brain cells as a goldfish, which makes the goldfish look bad in this scenario. Now, Mpox. Is Mpox going to cause us to lock down again? It depends on the scale of how people will react to it. If people start reacting to it the same way they started reacting to a common cold when we had COVID-19, then yes, we're going to go into a lockdown. But if people start, going, well, this isn't really a big issue in sort of a way, then we're going to carry on as normal. It depends how far they can stretch it and milk this story to make people believe in it. Hello, Miles. No Drift. Good to see you. How you doing? Hi, Miles' family. Alex, good to see you. How you doing? ACH partnered with Polkadot. Hope that is good for both. Thoughts? That is good for both. It's extremely good for both. Polkadot, great project. ACH, great project. Multiple licensings under ACH. And Polkadot, there's a lot of things happening in terms of institutions on their blockchain as well. So great news for both of them. Elon turned down Cardano twice. Research is giving mixed signals on keeping it or not. That is true. And Cardano's founder has tried to pressure Elon Musk to accept Cardano, but there's no interest for him whatsoever. And I said, the Cardano is not a terrible project. There are actual terrible projects inside the crypto space. It's just not a great project. I have to announce I just convinced my father to invest into XRP. He really just invested in me because he doesn't understand CBDCs, but even that is a win. Let's go, Kamal and his father. That's absolutely amazing news. Let's go. Thank you, Miles, for answering. You never disappoint. I'll always stand on business with you till the end, brother. Let's go, Ray. Trump is a businessman, and a businessman slash one can run a country better than anybody, which is facts. She's always drunk. She's always drunk. That's amazing news regarding your father, Kamal, that he's getting into cryptocurrencies. Absolutely amazing. Starting with XRP is a better choice. Let's go. Now, State Street is entering tokenization, which is quite massive news, actually. State Street partners with Taurus to offer tokenization services. State Street, a leading global financial service provider, has partnered with Taurus, a Swiss-based digital asset infrastructure provider, to advance its cryptocurrency custody and tokenization capabilities. According to the announcement, the move marks a significant step in the State Street's journey into the digital asset space. The bank positioned itself to offer tokenization services and eventually digital asset custody services as well. State Street plans to include crypto custody services. State Street plans to begin tokenization of assets through its collaboration with Taurus, with the bank set to announce its first tokenization client shortly after going live. The tokenization process involves converting physical or traditional financial assets into digital tokens that can be traded and managed on blockchain platforms. While the bank is moving forward with tokenization, its digital custody services remain on hold, pending favorable regulatory developments inside the United States, especially State Street has been a prominent critic of SEC Staff Accounting Bulletin 121, which imposes stringent essentially capital requirements on banks seeking to hold cryptocurrencies. Under SAB 121 Act, banks must maintain substantial capital reserves to account for the perceived risk associated with holdings of digital assets. This regulation has created significant challenges for financial institutions, potentially deterring them from entering the crypto custody market. As such, the State Street has called for a revision of the SAB 121 Act, arguing that the rule burdens banks and stifles innovation in digital asset space. State Street to launch a new crypto ETF. Not only are they going to tokenization, but they're about to be launching a new ETF. Recall that 2 months ago, State Street Global Advisor, SSGA, and Galaxy Digital, a crypto investment firm, plan to introduce a new line of crypto-based exchange-traded funds, ETFs. In their joint announcements, both firms noted raising demands for digital asset exposures from institutional and retail investors alike. According to a new filing with the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission, SEC, the two proposed essentially a SPDR Galaxy Digital Asset Ecosystem ETF. It attempts to invest in a diverse array of publicly traded companies within the crypto sector, including exchanges, both domestically and internationally. Now that is an interesting spin on an ETF. Because we have Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs, and everybody's doing the same thing in other jurisdictions as well. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum ETFs pretty much worldwide happening. But this was an interesting ETF because they're not going to be going for the crypto asset directly itself, but the backbones of crypto companies is what they're going to be investing into instead. So State Street and Galaxy Digital came together, and they're going to be creating that, Galaxy Digital Asset Ecosystem ETF instead, with the only aim of investing their money into the crypto sector, including exchanges, so they could be investing into Coinbase shares or any of the public traded essentially exchange out there, or mining firm companies, or hardware wallets providers, and crypto-focused venture capitalist firms, both domestically and international companies, which is an interesting spin on an ETF that's only focused on investing into the backbones of crypto companies. Additionally, the fund plans to incorporate investments in futures and spot ETF products, broadening its scope and potential impact on the market. Germany's bank to offer crypto custody services as well, which was another news that I announced. a little bit back ago, which was in April. Landsbank Bank, the largest federal bank in Germany, affirmed its position to introduce cryptocurrency custody services in a letter, half of 2024, collaborating with Austria's Bitpanda cryptocurrency exchange. The bank will cater to the growing demand for digital asset custody among its institutional clients, which is an exchange that I revealed to everybody. Essentially, Bitpanda being the Ripple exchange. Ripple is partnered with Bitpanda. They indirectly move their XRP through Bitpanda. And ironically, the largest bank in Germany, largest federal bank in Germany, partnered with Bitpanda. And I said they could have partnered with, Binance is a bigger exchange, or Coinbase is a bigger exchange, or Crypto.com, much more bigger exchange. But they partnered with Bitpanda because it's a coordinate to move for Ripple for their institutional clients. The largest bank in Germany, oldest and largest federal bank in Germany, partnered with Bitpanda for institutional clients. Now, the managing director, obviously, of that banking at the bank highlighted the increasing interest from corporate customers in digital assets, prompting the bank to venture into crypto custody solutions. Notably, this move, Landsbank Baden, reflects a broader trend among banks towards embracing cryptocurrency services. This is what I was saying yesterday regarding the German bank as well, which is a federal German bank that decided to partner up with Bitpanda, where they could have chosen Coinbase, bigger exchange, Binance, bigger exchange, Crypto.com is a big exchange, but they chose Bitpanda to partner up with. Federal bank, largest federal bank in Germany, and they chose Bitpanda for their institutional clients to partner up with. Bitpanda, being the crypto exchange, has partnered with Ripple to move their XRP through. Ripple works with institutions and banks. You couldn't get more obvious than that. Now, but that is major news regarding State Street and what Galaxy Digital is doing, without a doubt. A very interesting twist on ETFs. Instead of creating a Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF like any other ETF asset, any other ETF firm that's out there, they created an ETF to be funding the backbones of blockchains and blockchain projects. Instead of creating a Bitcoin ETF or an Ethereum ETF like usual, they're going for the backbones, which is showing more confidence to the blockchain sector. Remember what I said? I said, whenever you hear the news about Bitcoin ETFs, it's not just positive for Bitcoin. I've been saying this for a very long time. It's not just positive for Bitcoin. It's positive in general for the blockchain space because it brings eyes into it. So they started with Bitcoin ETFs, then they started with Ethereum ETFs, and now they're investing into blockchain firms. They're investing into blockchain capitalist venture companies and essentially mining firms and so on and so on. They're broadening their range because it brings more eyes into it. And State Street is massive. So is Galaxy Digital. And that German bank is absolutely top-notch news as well. But moving on to the next news, which is Donald Trump and Elon Musk. There is some sort of rumor situation going around, speculation news as well, on the basis that Donald Trump could be choosing, essentially, Elon Musk as a cabinet member. Donald Trump did make some sort of announcement that he wants to, and then Elon Musk made a tweet that said he's up for it. That would make politics very interesting. Donald Trump and Elon Musk on one side, and then the other side you have Gary Gensler, Kamala Harris, Senator Elizabeth Warren, all the dodgy people, in other words, and obviously Goldfish Joe Biden. That would make politics very interesting. We're about to go through that, but before we go through that, let's inside the comment section first. She's always drunk. Yep. So, Ray, thank you so much for the $2 donation, brother. Let's go. Baby Lemon, looking up to our lemon character, standing in a superhero position. It's the emoji. Ray, thank you so much for the $2 donation. So, when will XRP reach higher price points this year of 2025? Depending on the adoption, depending on the regulations, is what really matters. Second green light is regulations. Regulations are moving quickly. So the more regulations we have in place, the better it is. Second green light is regulations. But we're not far off. Jim, don't worry, we're not far off. So, Donald Trump. Donald Trump floats, making Elon Musk a cabinet member. The Republican nominee for 2024 United States presidential election said he would consider naming Tesla CEO Elon Musk to the cabinet position if he is victorious over Vice President Kamala Harris in November. In the Returners interview he released on August 19th, Donald Trump said he certainly would consider putting Elon Musk in his cabinet or an advisory role starting in January 2025, if he would do it. The Republican nominee did not suggest which of the 15 executive departments, including energy, labor, transportation, commerce, and treasury, he might put Tesla CEO in charge of. But Trump's comments come after the presidential candidate spoke with Elon Musk in August 13th on X Spaces discussion, which many things were discussed regarding politics and how much BS is involved, but delayed for 30 to 40 minutes due to what the Tesla CEO claimed was a massive DOS attack that was happening on that chat on the platform. Former ex-employees have reportedly doubted the Musk's claims, as significant issues did not appear to affect other users at the time, and slow walk to Trump. Now, Musk did not initially support Trump in the 2020 election against then the former Vice President Joe Biden, who defeated the Republican candidate in July 2022. The Tesla CEO tweeted that he did not hate Trump, but he should hang up his hat and sail into the sunset, is what Elon Musk said previously. After the apparent assassination attempt against Trump in July, the Tesla CEO tweeted out an endorsement for a Republican and has since posted several times attacking policies from President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Trump said at a July rally that he loves Musk and lie. I'm for electric cars, Trump said on August 3rd rally. I have been, and because Elon endorsed me very strongly, Elon, so I have no choice. Reports suggested Musk would donate $45 million monthly towards Trump's re-election campaign. The Tesla CEO largely denied the amount of contributions, saying he would be donating to a political action committee supporting Republican candidate at a much more lower level. Some high-level donors to Trump's re-election seem to end up with positions supporting the Republican candidate. On August 16th, his campaign said that the Cantor Physical CEO Howard and the World Wrestling Entertainment co-founder Linda would essentially co-chair his transition team if he succeeds in November again. On and off Twitter, Trump, then the US president, was kicked off Twitter under CEO Jack Dorsey in January 2021 after a mob of his supporters stormed the US Capitol building, attacked, and so on. After Musk essentially acquired the social media platform in October 22, he conducted online poll and reinstated him still regarding Trump's own platform, Truth Social platform, which a lot of people don't use, but he uses it quite a lot, which he's back now on Twitter, obviously, which he launched back in February 2022. Trump returned to Twitter, by then rebranded to X just once in August 2023, posting his mugshots after his surrender in the Georgia for allegedly attempting to subvert the voters. And before the X Spaces discussion with Elon Musk, the Republican candidate appeared to be returned to the platform for regular posts. With roughly 77 days until the US presidential election, many polls show Trump neck and neck with Kamala Harris, with the Democratic candidate leading all within the margin of error in certain crucial background states. The two are scheduled to appear in a televised debate on September 10th. So, Elon Musk alongside Trump, good or bad? Before I give you my perspective, everyone put inside the comment section, what do you think? If you are a member of this live show, if you're not a member of this live show as well, just put inside the comment section. What's your perspective? Elon Musk standing alongside Trump, is that good for politics? Is that good for crypto? Is that good for the market space? What is your perspectives on this matter? Good or bad? And does that make you want to vote for Trump more if you're already not voting for Trump, with Elon Musk standing next to him? Good or bad? Good from Dennis. Yes, and 100% and yes. That's great from Mike as well, from Shelly, 100% as well. I don't think anyone's going to be against it, to be fairly honest. There will be some haters that will, don't want Elon Musk in politics, but I'll be honest, 99% of politicians don't even know what they're doing. Actually, I was being generous when I said 99%. 99.9% of politicians don't even know what they're doing. They just go to essentially to work for their paychecks from taxpayers' money and then go back home. Good. For crypto, good. Politics, bad. Scott, nice perspective. Very nice perspective. It's not going to happen, is what JP said. Interesting perspective as well. Great move to get Elon on board on regarding politics. Adding another fantastic businessman to the club would be excellent. Yes, imagine Elon Musk running a country alongside Trump. That would be amazing. Honestly, I mean, as I said, 99.9% of politicians don't even know what they're doing. They just go in for the paycheck and go back home. But having somebody like Elon Musk, incredibly intelligent, coming in to essentially, set things up, and then you have Trump, who is straightforward. So somebody that's intelligent, Elon Musk, and somebody that's straightforward, Donald Trump. That's a power play right there. Before I answer, I will need to know what position Elon would hold. Brian, interesting. Dictionary, politician, liar. Let's go, Scott. I would have preferred Brad. That's an interesting perspective. Brad being a part of Donald Trump's campaign. Now, these are some interesting perspectives. Some like the idea, some want to know what his position is first, and some just don't like any politicians. I do worry about benefiting from his own science, though, for mankind, which is also true. Do you think Elon owns XRP? Yes. I do. Regarding Elon owning XRP, yes, he definitely does. It's not that I don't like Elon. I think it would be good, but I just can't see it happening. Same. I want it to happen. I want Elon Musk, incredibly intelligent person, running the show alongside Trump. That would be excellent. Is it going to happen? I agree with you, JP. It's probably not going to happen. But Elon Musk said he's up for it. Elon Musk tweeted out and said he's ready for duty, is what he said. Trump likes the way Elon gets things done. He does, yeah. I don't care what position I say yes. I don't care what position I say yes. Regarding Elon Musk running the show alongside Trump. In general, it would be good as a power play. One intelligent, one straightforward. Elon Musk intelligent, the other one Trump straightforward. It would be a nice power play to have. Is it going to happen? On JP's question, he said he doesn't think it's going to happen. I agree with JP. Very low, slim possibility will happen. But if it did, it'd be absolutely great for the United States and for the rest of the world, to be fairly honest. Trump needs to be here come November, though. That's also true as well. Trump needs to be here come November as well. They did try to, at his own rally, take him out, and they really don't want him to be leading. Anything. Can everybody see me? Can everybody see me? Can everybody see me? Yeah, we're back. We're back. Yes. See. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, I think saying the word Trump too many times makes this happen. So, moving on to the next news on today's live show. Nice, Sabrina. Thank you, Woodhouse. Moving on to the next topic on today's live show. When you talk about too much politics, sometimes some things happen. Miles, I love your Rolex. Thank you. Still out, i.e., yeah. Yeah, I thought this one matches my jumper. Still have the previous one though. Sky Dollar. Now this one. Elon blocked a user on that basis, on that topic, we really can't discuss it. Is it just me, or is your watch on the wrong way around? No, it's because the camera is the front-facing camera, so you think this is my other hand, when in reality it's not. It's because it's the front-facing camera, so it's the other way around. Okay. Moving on to the next news, which is regarding Moscow. Interesting enough, Moscow Exchange is being sanctioned right now from the United States, and Moscow Exchange wants to battle this out. They don't want to sit down, wait for nothing to happen, but they want to battle it out. No, I think Elon Musk is listening to you. How many do you have? 2. Only this one, Sky Dollar, and this one, Sabrina. Now, it does, Miles. You look fresh. Thank you. Final boss, final crypto boss. Let's go. Big brother, just join the live and talk us all up. Ray, let's go. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, moving on to Moscow. Moscow news. Moscow Exchange is ready to fight US sanctions and win. Moscow Exchange is not just going to sit around after the US essentially slapped sanctions on them back in June. They're getting ready to fight back. According to Investor Rights Defense Club, the exchange has some legal tricks up its sleeve, all thanks to their legal consultants, to the Step Forward is what they're called. On August 19th, during a meeting with the Investor Protection Club, a rep from Step Forward laid out the strategy. They are planning to go head-to-head with the US Office of Foreign Asset Controls, OFAC. Moscow Exchange is being sanctioned right now by the US. And Moscow Exchange doesn't want to stand down whatsoever. They want to fight back in some sort of a way, in a legal manner. Sanctions and licensings. The battle begins with Russia versus the US in terms of money, not war. The drama started on June 12th when OFAC hit essentially Moscow Exchange and its affiliates, the Clearing National Settlement Depository, NSD, with sanctions. OFAC even threw in a bone by giving a license to wrap up the operations with these entities until August 13th. But they decided to extend it until October 12th. Like, that's going to make things any easier for Moscow, in other words. The United Kingdom didn't want to miss out on the action also, so they jumped on the bandwagon the very next day, sanctioning the same Moscow Exchange, NSD, and NCC. The UK's Office for Financial Sanctions Implementation, OFSI, gave the green light to unblock assets held through NSD, but only until October 12th. It's a ticking time situation, and everyone knows it. But there is where things get interesting. According to the Investor Protection Club's legal consultant, the Belgian Treasury and Luxembourg Ministry of Finance aren't playing with the same rules. They're now automatically following US and UK sanctions when it comes to unblocking assets in NSD accounts. But don't get too excited just yet. Euroclear, a clearing stream, the big dogs in this game might still ask for US or UK licenses if those assets have any sort of connections to their jurisdictions, whether by issue or currency. The OFAC's license, which runs out until October 12th, might be the key unlocking assets stashed to NCC accounts with big US banks like JP Morgan Chase and BNY Mellon, but those are a catch. According to Delacroix, these American banks are basically saying, sorry, not sorry, only American entities can play this game. Moscow is left in the cold, but the legal team isn't about to let that slide. Step Forward's rep and some advice. If you've got assets caught up in this mess, you might want to talk to JP Morgan Chase and BNY Mellon directly. The idea is to figure out if they can move their assets under General License 100A. Don't hold your breath, though. OFAC isn't in the habit of dishing out individual licenses for transactions that should be covered by general ones. So it turns out basically that the Russia situation, Russia's economy is actually doing quite a lot better since the sanction situation. Russia's doing incredibly better, and the US didn't like that Russia's progress is actually doing quite well, so they decided to choose an area where it's going to hurt Russia the most, which is Moscow Exchange. It's like their type of Wall Street. It's like if somebody sanctioned Wall Street tomorrow, it will obviously impact the stock market. So the US decided to sanction Moscow Exchange, and on the other hand, the UK decided to jump on the bandwagon as usual. So they're both going after Russia right now, and Russia decided not to back out in any sort of a way. They're going to be counter-swimming and try to bring things back up. If this progresses, a lot of Russian bank accounts will start to be freezing and seized in the Western countries, and the UK and the US won't be the only ones that will do it. Canada will follow as well on this bandwagon, so will the EU and so on. It will just be a list of countries jumping on the bandwagon to freeze as much as they can Russian businesses, Russian accounts, to seize everything. To put more pressure on Russia is what's going on right now. So they really want Putin to do something. And I don't think Putin will do it, which will be the smarter move. Even with the whole Ukraine situation, where Ukraine has started to enter Russia a bit more and a bit more, they are really trying to poke the bear. They really want to poke Putin as much as they can. They just want to poke him until Putin says it's enough and he retaliates on a large scale. A large scale will be a nuclear type of situation, which Putin is smart enough not to do that. But that's what they want from Putin, because if Putin does that to essentially Ukraine, and then NATO will get involved and Russia will be dust, essentially. Because every single NATO country will get involved, and there'll be no such thing as Russia anymore after they'll be done with it. So they're trying to poke the bear. They're trying to first push Ukraine further and further into Russia from one side, and on the other side, they're trying to freeze more Russian bank accounts, Russian businesses, seize Russian assets, and even damage their Moscow exchange. They're really trying to poke Russia and Putin as much as they can to get him to burst. But I don't think Putin is going to fall for their trick. And he's going to remain calm in this scenario, which will be the better option, to remain calm in this scenario, because that's what they want. They want Putin to retaliate, but Putin has to stay calm in this scenario. And the reason why they're pushing Putin even more and more and more is because we're coming up to the US elections. If the US elections go the other way, which is Trump becoming president, this whole charade will come to a stop. It will just come to a complete halt. They won't be poking Putin anymore. Everything will be peace and so on. If it goes the other way around, if Trump becomes president, then this whole operation will come to a stop. But if Kamala Harris is chosen, then this operation will continue further. But that's why they're trying to push him more and more and more as time progresses. But he won't do it. He will be very calm. In my opinion, he will be very calm. Because here's the thing. Because Russia and China are standing up too much. Russia and China are, getting loud too much. So if they take out Russia, then China will instantly go silent. They won't go after China because China has too much in terms of, not because of weaponry, but in terms of providing for the world. There's too much happening with China. Russia, on the other hand, the oil and gas can be taken over. But the production part, they're not producing anything for the world in terms of just oil and gas and grains and so on. That's pretty much all they're producing. China's producing pretty much everything that we have around us. So, but if they, silence Russia, China will instantly go silent because their best buddy is no longer around. So they're really trying to poke the bear with Putin. And I think Putin's going to choose the option to stay calm as possible. Because if Putin stands up and does anything stupid, they will take over the gas and supply situation of Russia, and it will, be a very bad situation. But it wouldn't be overnight type of situation. It'll be a progressive situation, which will take months and years, and it'll be a very long situation. It wouldn't be overnight type of situation. That's only in the movies. In reality, it'd be a few years. But yeah, if they go after Russia, if they silence Russia, China will go instantly silent because Russia and China are standing up too much. You silence one of them, the other one just instantly goes quiet. So they're trying to poke the bear right now. What's up, Miles and CMF? Good to see you as well. Bilal, how you doing? XRP news? Yes, towards the end, we actually have quite a bit of XRP news to go as well. You've never been marked with that as you're London, right? Yep, nope. Just once, but they've never been able to get it off me. So, what else? Who's going to jack him? Hi, hello there to you all. Boris, how you doing? Good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? You really believe that? Believe which what? The West are all out of order in this situation. Russia will be put to dust. Yeah. If anybody thinks that Russia has any sort of chance against the US, you're a bit lost in terms of believing not factual information but random information. In terms of power for the US, don't look at Joe Biden. When it comes to power, don't look at Joe Biden. Okay. If you compare the military budget of the US, and just forget about comparing NATO's military budget as a collective, just compare US's military budget to Russia, it's nowhere near it. I mean, the military budget of the US is up to here, and while as Russia's military budget is here. And that's excluding, this section is excluding all the NATO countries, the UK's budget, Canada's budget, Australia's budget, Japan's budget, and the list goes on of the amount of NATO countries within this territory. It's just comparing the US military budget, Russia's military budget. So don't believe hype news and these TikTok videos, essentially motivational army videos and so on. I've seen so many on TikTok, people claiming that the other way around Russia can do, they can't do anything. And Russia knows this as well. So they can't do anything. The military budget is just upscale. So when it comes to power, don't look at Joe Biden. Don't look at Stupid Joe. Look at the military budgets. Look at the factual information, the military budgets. And then look at the departments, the CIA, the NSA, the list just goes on of how much power and control they have. So, yes, it's not I believe that Russia will turn into a dust in a few years if they did do something. I know they will be. Because the facts are there. And again, that's just comparing US's military budget. Forget about the rest of NATO countries, the UK, Canada, Australia, and the list just goes on. If you put all of their military budgets and all that, there's no comparison. So they won't do it, which is a smart option. Which is basically that no, you must be. Russia has the firepower, nuclear, the fast USA and Europe. I don't know the scale. I know the scale. Putin is going to be as cool as a cucumber is the best option. He's smart as a cookie, best option. He's playing the long game, best option. For Putin to be, essentially cool as a cucumber, best option. Don't fall for the tricks is what you shouldn't be doing. But the most heavy ever produced in the world in the hands of Russian bear? Nope, that's also false information. Russia has hypersonic weapons, which the West... Nope, actually, no, the US has it first. I don't think Putin... That's why he's cool as a cucumber. No, really, this has nothing to do with the one set, West Coast, such Cold War premises from the past. Really, the leverage or power vacuum for one of these two? No, we are in a totally different world now. We are, but don't believe TikTok videos, okay? Stick to factual information. I've seen so many TikTok videos of what Russia claims they can do and so on, whereas on paper it's a total different story. Now, just look at the budget and look at what they're building. You see the difference. Once you see the budget, you don't need to look at the rest. Now, China. On the news, on the topic of moving away from Russia, going to Russia's best friend, China to unban crypto, apparently. Rumors of a policy shift ignite market hopes. Crypto investors are impatient as Bitcoin trades sideways during the summer slump. However, some signs suggest a major shift is upcoming. Analysts expect Bitcoin to perform well in the fourth quarter, and rumors of China reconsidering its crypto ban have shaken the sector. After Europe, China is tightening its anti-money laundering laws, with new regulations targeting cryptocurrency transactions starting Tuesday. Virtual asset transactions, including those through crypto exchanges, will be classified as money laundering activities. So China is bringing out regulations for cryptocurrencies. If they're bringing out regulations for cryptocurrencies, the next step would be to unban cryptocurrencies. Now, that's a big move from China. What's new in China? This update comes from the Supreme People's Court and the Supreme People's Court prosecutor, marking this first time such as a move has been made in China. The law now defines laundering amounts of over 5 million yuan or causing losses exceeding 2.5 million yuan, about $343,000, as serious offenses. Convictions can lead to imprisonment and significant fines, with penalties increasing more severe sentencing. Survey of Chinese crypto users. In the meantime, in a recent survey, 96.72% of Chinese-speaking crypto investors chose Binance, Gate.io, and OKX exchange as their popular exchange. 87.17% of the community gets Bitcoin news via social media on X. Despite China's regulatory framework, many users speculate and hold crypto full-time. China's changing crypto stance could be due to the upcoming US elections. China's to ban crypto. One of the biggest rumors creating a buzz is that China might lift its ban on cryptocurrency trading. The potential legalization of cryptocurrencies in China might lead to increased adoption and innovation in the sector. In July, the CEO of Red Date Technology and Miko Omoto, co-founder of Trading Strategy, expressed doubts about China ever allowing its citizens to freely trade Bitcoin with local currencies. Citing that government's political agenda, China previously banned crypto exchanges back in 2017 and intensified its crackdown on crypto in 2021. However, this policy shift, coupled with recent moves by other countries like Russia to leverage crypto activities, could signal a broader trend towards more positive global regulations for digital assets. China's re-entry into the crypto market could drive significant price movements and volatility, offering new opportunities for investors and tech companies. It makes sense for China to unban cryptocurrencies. One, because their CBDC has already lifted off. There's a lot of people using CBDC in China. So on that basis, they're good. Two, Russia has just passed legislations for cross-border payments in terms of cryptocurrencies to avoid sanctions. If they want to do cross-border payments in cryptocurrencies to avoid sanctions, they need other countries to do the exact same. Now, Russia's best friend is obviously China in this scenario. So China unbanning cryptocurrencies is perfect for them. Also, ironically, China is now introducing cryptocurrency legislations, which means the next step is going to be unbanning cryptocurrencies to be able to do cross-border payments with Russia to avoid sanctions. But they would have to do it very silently, because if America finds out that China is conducting any sort of business with Russia, China will get sanctioned next, which would be very bad for their economy. China also said that they're not going to be doing conducting any sort of business with Russia, because China said they're scared. Scared wasn't the word they used, but it seems like it. China was scared of second sanctions, as in they could be next for sanctioning if they conduct business with Russia. So China stopped conducting business with Russia on paper quite a lot to avoid sanction list. So Justin Sun's call for policy reassessment. Justin Sun was the person that's, said to China, maybe you should start unbanning cryptocurrencies because of what Trump's speech announcement was in the Bitcoin conference. Trump announcing, Bitcoin, the US will become a Bitcoin country, we will become a cryptocurrency hub, and so on and so on and so on. So adding to the debate, Tron founder Justin Sun has urged China to reconsider its stance on Bitcoin, particularly in the light of former US President Donald Trump's recent endorsement of digital currencies. Trump's plan to create a strategic Bitcoin stockpile aims to position the US as a global leader in crypto, which could prompt China to reassess its fluctuating crypto policies. And Justin Sun argues that competition between China and the US on Bitcoin policy could ultimately benefit the cryptocurrency industry. Earlier this year, China allowed certain crypto activities in Hong Kong, including launching ETFs and retail trading. If these permissions extend to mainland China, the extra capital flowing into the market could further fuel optimism for the rest of 2024. Yes, if China does announce, for example, tomorrow they're opening their doors to cryptocurrencies, the crypto market is going to react in a positive way massively, all the way through to the end of 2024. But let's see. Is China going to do it? It seems like it, and it seems like a logical choice for China to open their doors to cryptocurrencies. Their people are already on CBDCs and social credit systems up to a certain extent. Russia wants to do, cross-border payments to conduct business, and they need, obviously, China to be able to do that type of business with, to accept cross-border payments. And China is introducing legislations for cryptocurrencies, the first law being the anti-money laundering law, which is the AML law, which is the basic rule before releasing other regulations for cryptocurrencies. So they're producing regulations for cryptocurrency. Russia wants to conduct business in cross-border payments. And who are they going to do it with? China. So it seems like China is about to be opening their doors to cryptocurrencies, which is going to impact the crypto market positively, massively. Saying that, Chinese retail section and corporate section do conduct business through Hong Kong. Already they do conduct business through Hong Kong, and some people in China do obviously conduct, do hold cryptocurrencies and trade on Binance, OKX Exchange, Gate.io, but obviously using VPNs. But after the unbanning, it will be no more VPN and everybody can conduct business, which will be massive, absolutely massive. So I'll definitely keep people updated. So tune into this show every single night. We're not done. We're still a lot to go through, but definitely tune in because I'm definitely going to be updating people on this matter of China. And the next news we're going to go through on tonight's live show is regarding Paolo, which was the playground for Ripple's CBDC. The first ever CBDC that was released pretty much was in Paolo. We have an update from Paolo on their progress and what they're going to be releasing next on the XRP ledger. Before we go through that, let's go to the comment section first. Wow, a lot of messages. Let's see what's in the comment section. No, really, this has nothing to do. No, I think I read that one. Really, that leverage or power vacuum. No, we are a totally different world now. We are in a different world, definitely. Putin will be last to push the button, but when it's pushed, no matter the budget, yes. Look at all his hope. Trump will be elected. He and Putin will find a way together, which is the better solution. To continue the World Treaty of Peace as still guaranteed until now. Yes, definitely better option. I agree. Trump and Putin will always, create peace, essentially. Definitely. I agree. Then Russia joined the other countries that behold the BRICS and also the vision of the BRICS Association have about cryptocurrencies. Danning, duty is calling, maybe till later. Boris, let's go. Boris, see you until next time. Now, Paolo's digital dollar dream, a ripple effect. The Republican of Paolo, an island nation in the Western Pacific Ocean, partnered with American fintech firm Ripple back in 2021 for its stablecoin project, and the two have shared a series of updates on this matter. Notably, Paolo's official currency is the US dollar, and the collaboration seeks to debut a stablecoin version of this currency. Notably, the stablecoin will be backed by the US dollar on a 1-to-1 ratio, and as per the official documents, it will be issued on the XRP ledger, the blockchain created by Ripple. Paolo has taken a huge leap towards a cashless society with the debut of their stablecoin project. The 3-month pilot took place in 2023 and ended in September when the Paolo stablecoin PSC was issued to around 200 local merchants and government employees across the region. Interestingly, the PSC will be rolled out on a larger scale based on the official document published in December, enabling people to make everyday transactions using stablecoins. The involvement of the Republic of Paolo's Ministry of Finance sets the PSC apart from other stablecoins like USDC and USDT, with the official backing of the MOF. Ripple and Paolo are laying the groundwork for Paolo's financial future. It is also important to note that Paolo chose XRP Ledger because it is one of the most carbon-neutral blockchains, and the nation wants to reduce its carbon footprint and protect the island's natural habitats. The XRP Ledger is known for being one of the more affordable blockchains, with transaction fees of only 0.000001 XRP. Further, the blockchain has transaction time of around 4 to 5 seconds compared to minutes for blockchain. These for Bitcoin. These most suited for the large-scale stablecoin operations such as in Paolo. As reported earlier, Ripple is also working on its own stablecoin called the RLUSD, which is currently in its testing phase and is expected to make its debut by the end of the year. So, regarding Paolo, which was announced a very while ago, that Paolo and the XRP Ledger and the government came together, it was a test ground for Ripple. Regarding Paolo, it was a complete test ground to see how things will become operational in a CBDC type of scenario, where governments are getting paid in cryptocurrency, in CBDCs and stablecoins, and essentially governments being paid, workers being paid. 200 people were on the testing phase of it using a CBDC. These are all tests before it gets implemented on a much more larger scale to see if anything goes wrong, if there's any bugs in the system, when it's being used in the real world type of situation. So far, the XRP Ledger performed excellent. Not a single bug within the system. When people were using it, when people were processing transactions, when people were being paid their wages, not a single bug in the system. So far, excellent. And I think it's going to remain excellent when it gets on a much more larger scale launch. But they used Paolo as a test ground, which with the Paolo government as well, which was successful. Interesting enough, the case came to an end as well, which means Ripple can progress further, and next year we're having a lot of CBDC releases. Now, also they're releasing a new stablecoin on the XRP Ledger as well. Now, the next news to talk about tonight's live show is also CBDC related as well. Cambodia and a few other countries. Cambodia's Bangkok tourist app boosts regional payment options. So Cambodia has a CBDC cryptocurrency asset type of wallet for their citizens and for tourists who want to visit Cambodia and a few other countries, and I'll name the countries as well. And this platform was designed by a platform that essentially worked alongside the Paolo government, same as Ripple, to develop the Paolo essentially CBDC and stablecoin on the XRP Ledger. This company is behind this platform as well for Cambodia and a few other countries that worked alongside Ripple and the Paolo government. The National Bank of Cambodia, MBC, has launched the Bang Ong tourist app to extend visitors' payment options through its blockchain-based Bang Ong payment system. The app will work within the Chinese Union Pay system and in Thailand, Vietnam, and Laos, in addition to Cambodia. There are only 55,000 point of sales POS systems in Cambodia, a country with a population of 16.8 million people. Credit cards cannot be used without a POS, and there are only 5,600 ATMs in the country to provide cash. The Bangkok app allows users to make purchases with QR codes at about 3.3 million locations that you can use the CBDC payment type of situation. The increasing convenience of using Bangkok. In addition to purchases, Bangkok tourists allow users to send and receive money, deposit funds into their bank accounts, track transactions, and convert funds back into US dollars and Cambodian reals. Bangkok tourist users will have a spending limit of $500 a day, which can be raised to $3,000 after users undergo the Know Your Customer KYC verification, which requires a photo and a copy of their user passport. The app has been downloaded from Google and Apple stores. Users register by email and add funds to their Bangkok accounts through their partners such as bank, hotel, or travel agents. NBC Governor Chi said that NBC is looking to make an agreement with an international settlement company to link Bangkok tourist accounts with international payment cards. Surrey said also that agreements are expected to be made with Malaysia later in August and South Korea in September to allow users from those countries to link their domestic accounts with Bangkok Tourist app as well. Now, the Solomon TC, which is the company that worked alongside Ripple regarding building Paolo's infrastructure, is the one expanding the regional payment vision. NBC launched Bangkok in 2020 in conjunction with the Japanese blockchain sorority. The Bangkok system was used as the model for the Lao Di Lac, a central bank digital currency CBDC that was launched as a proof of concept back in 2023. Bangkok was also envisioned as the base for the regional payment system that would encompass India is going to use this same similar payment system, India, China, Fiji, and the Solomon Islands, as well as the countries Bangkok has already been established. Solomon has provided support for Solomon Islands, Boko Cash CBDC proof of concept, and research by the Bank of Fiji, the federal, essentially the Reserve Bank of Fiji, for the launch of CBDCs in that island nation. Okay. In a very simple way, a major Japanese, essentially, blockchain firm that's worked alongside Ripple many times on building infrastructures has also worked alongside Ripple and the Paolo government building their CBDC infrastructure alongside Ripple. They've built this app, this app is going to be used by multiple countries. What is this app? Well, this app is basically a CBDC wallet for tourists. So if you visit China, Fiji, or a few islands, or Cambodia, or a few other, or India, for example, or the Solomon Islands and so on, you're going to be using this app as a CBDC app where you can connect your bank card and your passport ID profile picture, and you can use this as a tourist to pay for things in a CBDC world, which is already operational. Do you see how far we are in CBDCs? You remember when governments were saying, oh yeah, we're going to release CBDCs in 2035 or 2040s when CBDCs are coming. Yeah, we already have tourist apps for CBDCs. Now, the digital pound has just released an update. The Bank of England. The digital pound money sits at the heart of our economy and everyday lives. On the Bank of England's website today, they released a video and they released a Q&A of the steps the Bank of England has taken. Some of them they've lied, and I'll tell you what parts. The digital pound money sits at the heart of our economy and everyday lives. Today, we can pay in many different ways, including using banknotes issued by the Bank of England or electronically from your bank accounts. Whichever way you choose to pay, you can always trust the value of money you're spending or receiving. A digital pound would be like a digital form of cash. This is exactly what it says on the Bank of England website right now. A banknote for a digital era. Like banknotes, it would be issued directly by the Bank of England. You could hold your digital pounds in a digital wallet and spend them in shops or online. A digital pound would be denominated in sterling and its value would be stable, just like banknotes. £10 in digital pounds will always have the same value as £10 in banknotes. If we introduced it, it would not replace cash. The Bank of England has just said, first lie, the first major lie from the Bank of England. If we introduce it, the CBDC British pounds, and by the way, they're not calling it CBDC anymore. They're just saying digital pounds. On the entire form of the page, they're not naming it CBDC anymore. They're naming it digital pounds, which also goes back to about 2 months ago. About 2 months ago, which I revealed on this live show, the Bank of International Settlements, about a month ago, the Bank of International Settlements was doing a meeting, and the governor of the Bank of Bahrain came out on an interview and said, why are we calling it CBDC? In the Bank of International Settlements meeting, and said, why are we calling it CBDC? It should just be the digital dollars, digital pounds, digital euros. Why are we calling it CBDC? What is this extra name we're giving it? They're trying to take away, the word CBDC to hinder the fact it is a CBDC. So just putting that aside. But they said if we introduced it, it would not replace cash, which is lie number one. Since COVID until now, how many banks have closed down? Since COVID until now, how many cash points have closed down? Worldwide, how many bank branches have closed down? Since COVID until now, worldwide, how many banks have closed down? How many cash points have closed down? And have you realized a lot of places don't accept cash anymore? And we're not even in the CBDC world. So first slide from the Bank of England. We know being able to use cash is important for many people. That's why we will continue to issue it for as long as people want to keep using it. Keep using it. Well, if you're taking the bank branches and the cash points away, I think the independency on cash is going to come drastically down. You would simply have even more choice when you make a payment. The digital pound would not be a cryptocurrency or a crypto asset, as opposed to a cryptocurrency which are issued privately, or a digital pound will be issued by the Bank of England and backed by the government. Just like money you use today, your trust in digital pound will be essential. Any future laws on digital pound would guarantee users privacy and also guarantee that neither the Bank of England nor the government will be able to control how you spend your money. It would be your choice whether to use digital pounds or not. That part is also an illusion to be able to use cash. Line number two. Line number three was essentially them saying that the Bank of England would not be able to control how you use it. It's a CBDC. It's programmable. Obviously, you can program it on how you want people to use it. So line number three. In early 2023, we published a consultation paper which explores the need for digital pound and proposes a set of design choices for it. We received over 50,000 responses, and we are grateful to all of those who provided their thoughts. We published a response to this consultation in January 2024. The next step for the digital pound. Now, this is the next step for the digital pound. We haven't made a decision. Remember me saying, why does every central bank say this exact sentence? It's like a photocopy. Have you ever seen that video when it puts different news journalists next to each other and it's like they're all reading from the same script? Anybody seen that video when it shows CNBC, Fox News, and BBC News Report and back-to-back news reporters, but they're all saying the exact same news? And it's like they're all being given the same script. These centralized banks have all been given the same script from the Bank of International Settlements to not cause disruption. So they said we haven't made a decision on whether we will introduce a digital pound, which is a complete lie. Lie number four, we haven't made a decision. So, and by the way, they all say we haven't made a decision to release a CBDC, but we're going to still continue spending more money, time, and research. If you're not going to do it, you're not going to do it. What's the point of spending more money, time, and research? The earliest we would issue a digital pound would be the second half of this decade. Line number five. We are now in a design phase, which will look at the technology and policy requirements for digital pound over the next 2 to 3 years. Line number six. In the design phase, we will test out how it could work in the real world. This will bring to life innovative ways to use it so you can see how it might be useful to and relevant to you. We will also carry out detailed assessments to work out exactly how the digital pound would operate. At the end of this phase, we will have enough information to make a decision on whether to move into a build phase. Just want to point out, Brazil said that they're not going to be going for a CBDC, and then they got pressured by the Bank of International Settlements to go for a CBDC. And then Brazil said essentially that, oh, we're just doing the testings, but we're not sure if we're going to implement it. Next year, Brazil's coming out with a CBDC. India, not sure if they want to do a CBDC. Bank of International Settlements pressures them. India says, we're doing test stages, but we're not sure if we're going to implement a CBDC. India released CBDC this year. I can go on and on with all these countries' lies back to back. Parliament will also have a say before any digital pound essentially is launched. And further public consultations will be held to make sure everybody has the opportunity to make your views heard. Here's what's interesting though. They have a Q&A on their website. Would I have a digital pound account at the Bank of England? So is the Bank of England going to be the one that supplies me as a British citizen with a bank account? With a bank account from the Bank of England, a CBDC bank account? No, not in a traditional sense. So you would not be able to open an account with the Bank of England. The way you would access your digital pounds would be through a digital wallet provided by a private company. If you search for the word Ripple on the Bank of England's website, it comes up with a PDF document of when they were using Ripple for building and test stages. And then if you look at the Bank of International Settlements, it comes up on Ripple for cross-border payments listed alongside SWIFT. And there's multiple other documents on the Bank of International Settlements for Ripple. Ripple is a private company. The Bank of England is not going to be introducing, accounts at all from themselves. The Bank of England is not going to be creating the wallets for these CBDCs. But they basically said on their own website that the way you would access your digital pounds would be through a digital wallet provided by a private company. I wonder who that private company is going to be. The reason we would do it this way is that we think private company are much better placed to provide innovative products and services to the public. Could it be because Ripple since day one was designing for this whole CBDC world? Could it be because day one Ripple was building alongside banks, which no other crypto project did? 24,000 crypto projects, and Ripple was the only one since day one developing alongside banks and institutions. They would give banks the testings. Banks will come out with feedbacks. Ripple will go back to the drawing boards. Ripple will come back, give them the new testing to do. Now, XRP Ledger is the next news we're going to talk about. To support and secure gold and silver in 2024, says Ripple. I did see the whole... Also, that is true what Funky Butter said as well. I was about to say that as well. Thank you so much for saying inside the comment section. It says on their website that business individuals can only hold limited amounts initially. That is true. What I forgot to mention to you as well is that on the Bank of England website, it actually states that even though they can't program it, which they can, it's a CBDC, that you can only hold up to a certain amount of CBDC, which is also something that I said back in 2023 when they were discussing the amounts of how much people can hold. They said that you can hold a certain amount of CBDC that could cover your grocery payments and your gas, electrics, and rent. You can't have too much CBDC money. You can only have enough CBDC money in your accounts, in your CBDC wallets, to pay for your groceries, to pay for your food, to pay for your rent. That's pretty much it. That's the only amount of CBDC money you can have. So you can't have a ridiculous amount of CBDC money, but 3,000 is what they were suggesting. Back in 2023, the Bank of England was suggesting that everybody should only have about 3,000 monthly, 3,000 British pounds monthly in their CBDC wallets. Parliament said 5,000 British pounds limit monthly to have in your wallets. Remember when the World Economic Forum was saying you will own nothing and you'll be happy by 2030? Well, if you have a limit of £5,000 a month or £3,000 a month in your bank accounts, well, you're definitely not going to be able to afford to buy a house or a car. It says, I did see this a while back. They said about moving away from calling it a CBDC so people weren't about it, rename it. Yep, exactly, Shelley, facts. Ripple is the third party, bingo, exactly. XRP Ledger defend and secure gold in 2024. What will do that to the price? I'll tell you now. Miles, it was only a matter of time before the Bank of England announced digital pound. Exactly. Because the EU is coming out with their CBDC next year. The EU is coming out next year with their CBDC. Not for everybody to use in the EU, but on test phases, so people get small portions. Same thing that China did, same thing that India did, same thing that Russia's going to do, Brazil's going to do. A lot of countries are coming out with CBDCs, but they'll give it out in small portions. 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 50,000 people, 100,000 people. It just grows into test stages until everybody's implemented into it. Same thing is good. And the EU coming out next year is also the catalyst behind the British coming out very soon as well, because the UK is obviously not going to be left behind. The UK is capital. The UK is the capital of money. The UK is the capital of money. And by that, I mean the City of London. The City of London is the capital of money. Obviously, I can't go into detail on what I mean exactly by the words of the capital of money, but the City of London, being outside of the UK, is the capital of money. So the UK is obviously not going to be left behind in the digital world, especially not, falling behind the EU, is what they're essentially going for. What a load of garbage coming from the Bank of England. Well, here's the thing. Load of garbage in terms of, yes, they lied, but they have to lie. I mean, lying is a part of the game. When it comes to politics, when it comes to bankers, when it comes to lawyers, lying is a part of the game. And what this makes us good for is that, we're holding XRP. We're holding a backbone of a CBDC world. This is what I was saying yesterday. If you spend your whole time in a CBDC world, if you spent your whole time inside the crypto space and we're going into the CBDC world and you don't hold the only token for the backbone of a CBDC, then what were you doing inside of a cryptocurrency world all this time? This is what I was saying yesterday. And then we have this news from the Bank of England today. But, this load of garbage is working out in our favor because we know CBDCs are going to happen either way. And we are fully prepared because a lot of people are going to be on CBDCs. A lot of people, even inside the cryptocurrency world, are going to be on CBDCs. Can we buy XRP with digital pounds? No, doesn't work the other way around. Now, XRP Ledger to support and secure gold and silver. And I said this also yesterday as well. Before I read you this, I said this yesterday as well. That this whole thing, this whole blockchain thing that came about since COVID times, even before COVID times, this whole blockchain thing that came about, it's all a setup for a CBDC world. The end result of a blockchain setup is a CBDC world. Everything is a setup. Everything is coordinated to happen. And it's falling, like it's a puzzle, like it's a domino. Or you could also say it's a ripple effect. Going into a blockchain world, everything is just so perfectly set up. It's absolutely beautiful. When you step back and watch it, it's just crazy how everything is set up. American Express announces partnerships with Ripple. I read that a long time ago. They announced that, then the suing has happened, stopped announcements, and then that was slightly back. Now, XRP Ledger. I wish that had 10,000 XRP. Hopefully, I still have a little time left to purchase my goal. Let's go, Thompson. Why not? XRP Ledger. Why not, Thompson? Honestly, let's go. XRP Ledger to support secure gold and silver in 2024, says Ripple. So a while ago, I announced that Ripple essentially partnered with Meld Gold to integrate on the XRP Ledger. And it was a while ago that I made that announcement, which was an announcement from Ripple themselves. Now, fast forward to essentially today. So in June, Ripple announced a streak partnerships with technology company Meld Gold to integrate real-world assets into the XRP Ledger. As we indicated earlier, this collaboration was meant to provide real-world asset greater access, utility, and efficiency by ensuring that built-in features and institutional-grade functionalities are delivered for secure and efficient, scalable financial services. 2 months after the partnership, so fast forward now, Ripple disclosed that Meld Gold would release 2 stablecoins on the XRP Ledger, according to the reports. These stablecoins will be backed by gold and silver, which each token representing 1 gram of precious metals held. As the official statement claimed, these would be done by renowned custody provider MKS PAMP and Imperial Vaults. Analysts have lauded the idea, claiming that users would be provided with an easier and more secure way to trade digital gold and silver. Liquidity in the precious metals market would also greatly increase as the metals become more accessible because they're through tokenization now. In the long run, the adoption of Ripple's network could increase as it may attract investors from both the retail and institutional sectors for this gold and silver. New users will also have the opportunity to leverage the XRP Ledger's native features such as DEX, AMM, payment systems, and the upcoming EVM side and the money market. More on the gold and silver integration of XRP Ledger. A blog post announcing this plan indicates that the collaboration would enhance the growth of the decentralized finance DeFi system. According to Michael Cotton, the CEO of Meld Gold, their passion for promoting the growth of digital ownership is important for real-world asset revolution. Our team of industry experts has deep experience in every component of supply chain, from certification and logistics to storage and issuance. Our passion for disrupting and advancing digital ownership is ideal for the coming real-world asset revolution. This is the industry delivering the systems only they could design to bring the physical world on-chain. Meld Gold has a reputation for integrating assets on-chain by working closely with precious metals and the alternative physical asset industry. According to the report, the digital gold and assets are expected to be integrated into the XRP Ledger in the third quarter of 2024, quarter 3 of 2024. The firm will deliver greater transparency within the period and execute the first implementation of patent-pending work on minimized trust systems for connecting physical items to the blockchain. Utilizing blockchain technology offers significant advantages such as immediate global accessibility, simple and secure ownership in terms of accountability, and standardized data rails for interoperability and velocity. An asset are essentially connected to the blockchain, and precisely how they are accounted for. Meld's Gold subject matter expertise in alternative physical assets and blockchain technology has led the development of its pioneering technology slated for release in 2025. To experts, this collaboration underscores Ripple's potential to influence the money sector by increasing the accessibility of gold and silver. Also, it falls in line with the vision to expand the use of the XRP Ledger while listing the combination of traditional assets and blockchain technology. So, third, basically coming up very soon, we're going to have some gold and silver on the XRP Ledger. This is going to bring quite a lot of attention onto the XRP Ledger, and it's going to bring that attention towards essentially word for word. It's going to bring attention towards the opportunity to leverage. So new users may also have the opportunity to leverage the XRP Ledger's native features such as DEX, AMM, payment systems, and the upcoming EVI sidechain and the money market. So this is going to bring a lot of users to the XRP Ledger regarding buying tokenized gold and silver, which means when they come to the XRP Ledger, a lot of payments are going to be processing on that matter on the XRP Ledger. And it's going to bring a lot of interest towards the other things that XRP Ledger offers. This is going to bring quite a lot from, one, retail, but mostly a lot from the institutional side, tokenization of gold and silver. And also in 2025, Meld Gold is going to release their own platform, which is alongside Ripple as well. So that in itself is massive news, because they announced that news a while ago and it went very silent because they went into development mode. Seems like they're coming out of development mode for release mode, stage 1 release. Stage 2 release is beginning 2025. Stage 1 is on the XRP Ledger. Stage 2 is their own platform alongside Ripple. And they needed high-grade infrastructure for the security of their tokenization. And their perfect choice was XRP Ledger. Of course, it's the perfect choice. If banks and major institutions trust the XRP Ledger, then it's the only choice for security. Now, we have reached also the endings of tonight's live show, and that is a major announcement coming from Meld Gold CEO. And also the another announcement was from the Bank of England, which was major news as well. But on tonight's live show, we went through news regarding the XRP ledger on gold and silver update. We went through news on the matter of the Digital Pound Foundation, the Digital Pound from the Bank of England's website update. We went through news topics of Cambodia and a few other countries regarding their CBDC tourist app. We also went through the news regarding Paolo's digital dollar, the progress they've made so far, which was all successful, no bugs in the system whatsoever for the XRP ledger in a CBDC type of scenario. We also talked about, this is why I say XRP, essentially Ripple needs to be 1 billion% sure. Using Paolo as a test ground was the perfect choice for their CBDC. Then we also talked about China regarding they could be opening their doors because they're introducing regulations, which is massive news for the crypto space. We also talked about next regarding Moscow Exchange, essentially being sanctioned by the US. We also talked about, on tonight's live show, regarding Donald Trump and Elon Musk coming together. We also talked about, on tonight's live show, regarding news topic of State Street partnering up with Taurus to offer tokenization services, which is massive because State Street is a leading global financial service provider. We also talked about, on tonight's live show, regarding news topic of Fed rate cuts that's going to be coming out on Friday, regarding reports which will keep people updated. We talked about Brazil releasing their second Solana ETF. We also went through the news topic of MicroStrategy's 1.5% X leverage regarding their Bitcoin ETF. But the biggest announcement was Meld CEO regarding Ripple XRP Ledger and Bank of England update and the CBDC of Paolo's update. That's so far no bugs within the system. Those are 3 major announcements. And the tourist app. So, if you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, and tune into it every single night. This was the CMF live show. Stands for Crypto Mouse Family. You can tune into this live show every single night when I talk about the most recent things that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations. And then we do live Q&As as well. So if you're not following, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching this on X, follow. And let's go to the comment section first. By the way, hello, beautiful people. Let's go, Thompson. Thompson, let's go. I certainly hope you're all doing great. Let's go, Thompson. Hey, Miles Woodhouse, good to see you. I didn't know Android can comment now. Let's go, Woodhouse. There is no more time for silence. Definitely not. Good night, Miles, and the rest of the family. Funky brother, let's go. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. And see you tomorrow night. See you tomorrow, funky brother. Thanks again, Miles. See you tomorrow. Shelly, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Take care and see you tonight tomorrow. Mike, see you tomorrow night, brother. Good night, Miles and CMF. Thanks for the news, Miles. Free and forever. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Night, Miles. Pablo, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, Miles, and all the CMF. Thanks for all the news. Great live. Let's go, JP. JP, see you tomorrow, brother. Same time as usual. Thank you so much to everyone that's tuned into this live show. Thanks so much to everyone that tunes into every single CMF live show that we've been doing every single night. Long live both Lunacy and Shiba coins as seed coins to purchase more of the following XDC, XRP, XLM, Algorand, and H4. Let's go, Thompson. Have a lovely night all. Lena, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thompson, see you, brother, same time as usual. Thanks, Miles, for all that you do for our family. Scott, let's go. See you tomorrow, same time as usual, brother. I will see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. And once again, we also do have our own Telegram group as well, which anybody's more than welcome to join. The link is on X if you're watching this on X. It's on YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube. If you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, and retweet and comment and share. Thanks again for another brilliant live stream again. Let's go, Thompson. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. We are family, CMF. Let's go. Love and respect to everyone. Thompson, see you tomorrow, brother, same time as usual. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. CMF, see you tomorrow, same time as usual.